You are now watching Straight Out of the Mists.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Straight Out of the Mist podcast. Gonna go ahead and start off here by introducing our special guest here to the, well, probably to the right, the way you're looking at it. This is Said, he's an officer in our guild. Say hi, Said. And all of you need to unmute your mics. Alright, so on today's agenda here, we've got the launch trailer, raids, the legendary journey, and some guild stuff. And I'm going to be showing a couple of videos throughout that, and we're all going to be bantering about all those wonderful things. And again, before we start, down at the bottom is our guild link, so if you want to check us out, do so. I'm going to cut over here to a different screen, and we're going to play the launch trailer.
Serve the jungle dragon. We serve no one.
Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and talk about what we thought about the wonderful launch trailer here. I'm going to go ahead and first off, I'm going to start. I love the fact that Ricklock used Unrelenting Strikes and just melted the Mordant Guard. It was one of my favorite things. What about you guys?
Seeing the giant Mordremoth rise from the depths was pretty damn awesome.
I don't know if that's actually Mordremoth, though. I think in the stream they referenced it as the Vine creature, which is
okay.
Interesting. So we don't know if that's really Mordremoth or not.
Maybe a new world boss? That'd be pretty awesome.
That'd be a pretty epic world boss, that's for sure. Standing at the edge of like a cliff, fighting some giant vine creature. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they wanted to call it a vine creature and not Mordremoth makes me a little skeptical.
It makes me think that they don't want to give him a form. They want him to be able to, like, just take vines and transform into any look that he wants.
Yeah, I imagine that's basically what it is. He probably has some form of source somewhere that we're going to have to take out. But
you mean we're going to have to stab him in the heart of thorns?
Oh my god.
Similar to Zaitan, where, like, he has, you know, various different power sources all throughout the world that do different things for him. With, like, the eyes and all that kind of deal.
I imagine it'll be very similar. Although this one might have more direct effect, where with Zaitan it's sort of just cut off his food supply and all that fun stuff, where this might just be we're sort of taking out chunks of Mordremoth as we go.
Yeah.
I think
Where
the
the
interesting part was where he says, "I am the world." So like we don't actually even know how big he is. He could cover all of whatever planet we're on. What do you think, Brawson?
Yes.
Wow, you've got
Thanks
some
for the-
excellent input there.
Thanks for the insight.
Well, I mean, he stretched from, what was it? The waypoints he destroyed in the previous events. He destroyed like all the way like to the Crystal Desert in the Ascalon area.
That when we stopped him
and
at DSO, right?
Brisbane. Yep, something like that. So it was crazy big how much distance he could cover, and that was without him being like at full power.
And the stuff in DSO was pretty intense. Like, it was wasn't like a minor incursion. He was like pretty well throughout that zone.
Well, I guess there's not too much to talk about on the launch trailer, so we'll segue into the next section. I've got raids here. I've actually got some pretty cool screenshots I'm gonna go ahead and put up, so you guys aren't gonna be on camera. So on the screen, we've got here what looks to be the first 3 bosses of the raid, first wing anyway. And I've got some arrows pointing to the ones that I think are which. Like as you can see, in the data mining that Shaman did, it said that one of the things was congratulations, you have defeated the Veil Guardian. And so I think that the Veil Guardian is the anomaly looking thing that's on what is possibly the Bloodstone with the green, blue, and red crystals. So I think that's what we're going to be fighting this weekend. And then we've got Gorseval, the tongue monster, there on the right. And then at the bottom, I've called her Unknown Flamethrower Woman, because we don't actually know what her name is yet.
But we get those sexy skins.
It's what is it? Slick and Sparks 2.0.
I guess, yeah, because there is another guy in the background. It feels like that fight's going to have a lot of ads.
And what looks like a lot of fire.
Yeah.
Well, so at TwitchCon they confirmed that we're going to have 5-player buffs instead of 10-player buffs. And so the first person I want to hear talk about that is Ohio.
Well, the obvious thing with that is you start specking out your groups to be optimal depending on the buffs, where before we could have brought a Mesmer because of Time Warp, or now we're going to want to bring 2 Mesmers to get, two Time Warps for 2 different groups, and stuff like that. I would have preferred 10-player buffs, but I do understand in the stream they were just talking about how it'd be very difficult to balance, because then we would just go in with 10 Mesmers and just like blow stuff up. We saw it coming. I mean, I wasn't expecting them to do 10-player buffs. I was expecting 5. It does force some certain comps, and this weekend we'll be able to tell a lot more how important it is to have a certain amount of buffs to spread around, or if it's not as big of a deal as I guess I'm making out to be.
I'm bringing everybody back up on camera. They've had enough time to look at those awesome raid bosses. I hate that. Well, I hate and I love the fact that we're having 5-player buffs, because yeah, you're gonna have to stack more of one class, but then you also know that if you use a skill that removes one condition from 5 players, they've said that it's gonna be your specific group, so you know that if only that group has 5, you're not wasting your condition removal because one person has a condition.
That's very true.
But then I guess I also hate it because if I were to play a Guardian, I couldn't smash my F3 and give everybody Aegis. That would just be awesome.
And I think that's where a lot of the balance comes into play. Keeping it 5. Even there were things even in other MMOs where even though the buffs are cross raid, you still could only affect so many players for that reason. So keeping it down to 5 it sort of makes sense for this game.
Sorry, I didn't actually watch the stream yet. Are they doing it in specifically your group for your buffs, or is it 5 people in your raid in total?
I want to say it's the
2
squad.
groups of 5, yeah. So like if all 5 of us were in a group with one other person, and then there was another group of 5, that the other group is called they're calling them subgroups. So if I were to press F3, it would give Aegis to all 4 of us and the extra person, but no one in the other group would get it.
Okay.
I think it prioritizes though. I would imagine you could still give it to the other group if they're like within if someone in your party is not within range, I guess, because like it's not like you need to be in a party for a lot of these abilities. They
That's what I
just
was
stop
thinking.
at 5. Yeah, I think it's just going to be just like if you weren't in a party doing a world boss where your ability only affects 5 people, it just uses the same mechanics to figure out what 5 people. It might prioritize your group, which would be nice. I don't know. It depends on the ability, I guess, because some of them do only affect if you're in the party, and those ones will probably be your specific subgroup. But the other ones are just going to be based on positioning, I think.
Well, we're going to find out tomorrow for sure.
Yep, that's one of the main things I think we're going to be looking for is just how these buffs interact.
So
It just seems that it heavily influences stacking support classes more so than the 10-man group. But I see the point of the needing to not allow you to just double up on a whole bunch of the buffs as well.
And maybe I guess obviously they said that the cons were higher than the pros of giving 10-player buffs. So what should they do to fix that? You know, they should buff the classes that don't give us much utility. Give us another option. Make me not bring a warrior to stack PSEA 25 stacks of might on people.
Yeah.
Give me ability to do it on Necro or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Necros very much would need help in that. Thieves even in some regards. So
my next question for you guys, and Brawson, you need to be chiming in more here. I know you've got an exciting segment coming up later, but my next question is, are there going to be any trash mobs?
Well, they did say didn't they say there were going to be events in the raids, so more than likely there will be trash mobs.
I completely forgot about those events.
Yeah. So more than likely, yes, we will get trash mobs in the form of side events.
I was looking at because there's that nifty site, I don't remember the URL right now, but where you can load in Chrome and you can load up your DAT file and like zoom around through maps and stuff like that. They were able to mine the raid map for this weekend, and I loaded it up, and really, you basically start in a portal, and then it's just a very short hallway until the boss, chamber, I guess you'd call it. So I don't know if this weekend we'll see much trash. I think the events are probably also going to be a little more puzzle-based than just straight-up killing trash. I guess we'll see. In that map, though, you can clearly see the line of progression. So there's the boss we're going to fight, and then there's like ruin. There's a door on the left, and then it leads into some ruins back in there. That part's not really finished, all of that, but you can kind of see some progression back through some ruins, which there weren't any very big open areas, so there might be, after this first boss, like a fair amount of distance we have to travel to get to the next one. I guess we'll have to see, obviously, once we get the full
and
raid.
I think they said that once you beat the certain boss, like your progression will be saved there, and you won't have to clear up until that boss. I would imagine that would imply that there is trash or something you have to do before getting to a boss. Because otherwise it wouldn't matter saving your
in the
position.
stream, they were even talking about when they brought that up, they sort of mentioned, not having to travel as far or run the full distance. So in their heads, they're thinking of a decent trek to get back to like boss 3 or 4, which means there's probably trash and there's probably a decent chunk of like content to get to each boss, which is okay. I mean, it just might get grindy after a few weeks. But then if they are going to start doing, they said something like 6 wings a year, it might not be that bad, because it's probably going to take me a month or 2 to get burnt out on killing all the trash. So we'll see.
I'm hoping for minimal trash, but maybe the events will make it fun.
Yeah, I don't think it's just going to be like wild trash. We're not going to be running down endless corridors killing bullshit trash. I think it's going to be like events, like puzzles, and we're doing something that at least feels important, not just killing random packs of fire elementals because they're in the way.
I mean, even like their dungeons don't have like a crazy amount of trash. A raw being like the major exception there, but you get a decent, progression each time. Um, it feels okay, and if we can stealth by them, like it won't matter as much as well.
That's part of the reason I don't want them. I don't want to have to stealth by them, and then someone randomly pull them, and then you've got to fight them, and it becomes a pain.
Totally understandable.
They know
mind.
that we are fully down to stealth pack past mobs, so they're either not going to put them in, or they're going to make it so we have to do the content. I imagine they're just going to make it so we have to do the content. Just like some door that only opens, we do X, Y, and Z, where killing the mobs is as important as, lighting the torches or something.
Hmm.
Thoughts on trash, Brawson?
Well, I mean, basic crap, really. I mean, it's trash. There's not much to talk about with it besides the fact we'll probably get them. We'll see this weekend, to be honest. I think we'll probably get low to medium amounts of trash. If not, maybe not any, and they'll all be related to events, but more than likely we'll probably have a little bit of trash, hit an event, a little bit of trash, a boss, maybe something like that.
What do you guys think about the Veil Guardian boss with the 3-color stones, the blue, the red, and the green? How do you think it's going to work?
I'm excited that it looks like it's at the Bloodstone. We haven't seen one of those since Guild Wars 1, so lore-wise, that's really exciting. Boss-wise, there's no telling what they're going to do, to be honest. What do you guys think?
So what I'm thinking, there's obviously 3 distinct pillars. I'm thinking, just going off Guild Wars mechanics here, the boss is going to do something with a specific color, and we have to taunt and bring the boss to a specific section of the pie, so that we light up said pillar, and then something happens.
I'm actually thinking nearly the opposite, where I'm thinking players actually have to go to specific pillars.
Right, or it's like he hits a player with a buff and or a debuff and they have to run to the pillars.
I'm imagining green maybe a healing buff area, and you have to taunt the boss over there, light it up, and it provides you enough buffs and everything else in order to actually finish out the fight. Similar to the facets from Guild Wars 1.
Well, that's interesting. I was thinking that they would stay lit, and each player could change their color. So
sort of like the
that would be
Valkyrie
interesting.
or whatever in WoW.
Yeah, what if you... So let's say whoever's standing in red, the boss is going to auto-attack you. Whoever's standing in green, you get a healing buff. Whoever's standing in blue, you get a damage buff. Or you rotate in and out, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. That would be interesting.
It'd be interesting, yeah.
Yes.
Is that
Maybe.
Yes, Ross, is that what you think?
Yes, I think that's what'll happen.
Actually, now that I'm kind of looking at this picture, I see some random light orbs kind of around. Those are definitely going to play in. I wonder, if anything, maybe we have to drag those to the pillars to light them up.
Yeah, that might be interesting, like an actual charging mechanic.
I pulled
Right.
the picture back up with that light orb. Do you see the very interesting looking telegraph, with the arrow
Mm-hmm.
where he's pointing? It looks weird.
It kind of looks like some light up at different points there on the lower picture with the orb, and the red area isn't lit up on the ground. Maybe it's maybe something will happen.
Maybe
if
they
you're
do have
standing
to
on those.
activate, like Sade said, you got to activate the pillar.
More than likely, that could be true as well. Are there more than one active at a time? I only see one in the picture.
There's all
two.
3
There's
active and one of
blue
them.
and green are
Well,
active.
I think he's talking about the ground. In one of these pictures, there's two-thirds of the circle is lit up.
What if he activates them himself, like Lei Shin from WoW, the Thunder
That's
King?
that was my original thought, was that we're gonna have to drag him to the pillars to let him, because he looks like he's,
Maybe he is gonna gain a buff every time he activates a pillar. It'll change his mechanics completely every 25%.
I'm finalizing my speculation here. Every so much damage we do to him, it's gonna drop some light, the light, and then we have to drag the light to the pillars, and there's gonna be mechanics where we have to drag him around to do the pillars. And then he's gonna heal if we do it wrong, so that that's basically your.
Well, we're gonna move on to loot, so I'm gonna go ahead and read off the loot about what we have been told we're getting. So it's going to be a personal loot system. Everybody's going to get something, or at least a chance to get something. You can get Ascended Gear, Tomes of Experience, exclusive skins that you're only going to be able to get out of the raids. The Tongue Boss is going to have his own shield, which, as a shield user, I don't really know if I want a piece of wood on me with a tongue. It sounds kind of crazy, but maybe it'll be cool when I see it.
Yeah, no.
And then we know that the Flamethrower lady with no name has a rifle and a backpack skin.
I'll take those.
And the reward chests can also drop trophies for us to display in our guild hall. So that's one of the really cool things that I like. Now, they did say that the first wing is going to be released after we get the expansion, but before the holidays. So we know that we're going to get it before Thanksgiving, at least. And then the second wing, which will be, it's supposed to have a huge mega reveal, is what they said, will be released in early 2016. And they were like early 2016. So I'm assuming January or February, beginning of February. But what I'm hoping this huge mega release is, and I'm going to throw some speculation out at you three, and I want to hear something back. So I've got two options here. Number one, Traherne gets corrupted, and he's in the second wing.
Please.
Or here's number two. What actually happened to Scarlet's body? Do we know? If we didn't pick it up, did Mordramoth get it and re-corrupt it? Or can he grow another Scarlet on one of his trees?
I don't know that I want another Scarlet.
I
want to kill Traherne.
Killed Scarlet. Like, they specifically stated that they wanted to make sure that we murdered her. That was why we had to stomp her. Was they wanted to completely drive home the fact that she's dead.
The thing is, though, in the new map in Verdant Brink, there's a tree where Mordramoth is taking dead bodies and turning them into Mordrum. So if we don't have her body, or know where it's at,
well, it was on the giant laser drill. So I would imagine we would have that from where we retook LA.
Well, didn't Mordramoth take out the one waypoint in LA?
Yeah.
So he definitely
showed
like some presence. So I mean, if we did leave her on the giant drill thing, I forget what it's called, and it just went to the water. Yeah, there it is. Then I mean, her body could have been down there, and then if Mordramoth was able to take out a waypoint, there's no reason he couldn't take a body out of the,
Yeah, totally. I think
I don't like the idea. I don't like fighting Scarlet again. Like
I don't think they will. And I think we're more likely to see Traherne, to be honest.
Which I'm just saying.
Everybody wants to kill Traherne. I know Brawson especially wants to kill Traherne.
Wants to kill that guy. But the mega reveal I'm expecting is just going to be like the season 3 like midway point, and that's what we're going to end up seeing is like the entire living story this time around is going to lead up to the big raid coming out and figuring out something bizarrely shocking.
Maybe we'll get to see Mordramoth in the second wing, like he'll fly over or something.
Lint's egg is gonna hatch.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's a good point.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're gonna move on to Legendary Journey. I'm gonna pull up the screenshots here of it. So we got the first one here, which is the Juggernaut that they brought up on the stream. And it's got the first level of collections to make the precursor. And then on the left side, it's also got the volumes. So it's like 5 gold and 10,003 karma for each volume to start the precursor crafting.
I like how it's 10,003.
I know. What made them add the 3? I think they added the 3 just to piss off Brawson. Because he'll have 10,000 and he'll be 3 short.
I doubt that's like the final number is the thing I'm thinking. I think 10,003 is just weird. I think they're just... I wouldn't be surprised that like when we go to do it, it's like 10k karma or 5k karma. It's not going to be a 3. And if there is, the OCD in me is going to be very upset.
We'll see. I like that. Like you got to go walk around the world and ponder. So they're sending us back into Old Tyria.
That's nice. I like that.
I've got the second collection up here with the crafting at the weaponsmithing. So on the right side, we can see that you're going to have to earn a Shard of Glory, which is rewarded through PvP reward tracks and PvP dailies. And then you're also going to have an Essence from the first level of the crafted tier. And then it also takes a Legendary Inscription, which they did tell us is made with 10 globs of Ecto, 5 piles of crystalline dust, an Orichalcum plated dowel, and 10 Alonian leather squares.
Oh wow, that is legendary.
I think the
gear is supposed to be better than that.
the guy in the economy was like, these Alonian leather squares aren't worth much. How can we make the price go up? And this is how they did it.
That sounds.
How could we make thick leather not be worth vendoring every single time you get it?
And then I've brought up the third and final here to finally craft the precursor. And I like a lot of the things they've done with this. Like you have to get this ooze, and then you got to coat yourself in it and go attack the Crimson Jungle Worm, or coat yourself with it and go fight the Grinth Temple boss, or coat yourself in it and stand in some lava at the heart of Mount Maelstrom.
My favorite part was when they were doing the stream and we saw the 10 spirit wood planks, and the trading post just died as everyone bought every single spirit wood plank.
I think it's going to be... I really like the Legendary Journey stuff. I like these collections. I think it's going to be something fun to do when you're not doing your raids or doing all the other crazy content. There's so much content that's being added.
Yeah.
I think this is a much more manageable form of legendaries, and it makes them seem more rewarding than just I've earned a ton of gold.
Or we're Ohio and put 4 things in the forge and got a precursor.
Exactly.
Yeah, the rest of us aren't lucky enough to get 30 out of the forge like you.
I got mine through a drop, so
I haven't had that yet. I will
throw
say.
anything in there.
I'll give you that one.
And so that ends the Legendary Journey talk, but I mean, I really like it. It seems like a good idea. We can do it as a group, and it's gated enough to where I don't... They said it's going to cost you around like 300 gold to completely finish it on most of them. So...
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, so, you know, people are still going to have their precursors. They're probably going to be selling them for... I don't think it's going to hurt the market, but it'll probably bring it down a little bit.
I thought they said these precursors weren't going to be traded.
These aren't, but the others are still going to keep dropping.
Right. Yeah, but I see what you're saying. They'll still be value.
Yeah.
I can finally get dusk.
I know,
Yeah.
right? I'm excited. I want Bifrost. I want to spin rainbows on my Revenant.
The only one I've never gotten.
Alright, so if you guys don't mind to mute your mics here, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the... Actually, you don't need to mute your mics. I'm going to play this. It's the Guild Hall intro, and it shows the next part of what we're going to talk about, which is the Guild Halls. This is to start the expedition. You do this in Lion's Arch at the Guild Initiative headquarters. It costs 100 gold, and you're going to want to do it with as many of your guilds. So I think it's something you're going to be like, hey guild, we're going to do this on this day at this time. Everybody gets on, you go fight and take back your guild hall. And so the video's playing here. It pretty much shows all these Mordrim and the Lost Precipice Guild Hall, and in the back there's the crystal looking, what looks like Aurelium, as what I'm assuming they're calling it. And so I'm hoping that as the vines come back, it looks like a throne, so you're going to find me setting on it most of the time. But it looks really fun. The fact that it's costing 100 gold, it worries me because, I mean, I don't want to have to, as a guild leader, just put out 100 gold, so I've got to think, how am I going to get 100 gold? Are we going to take donations from everybody, or what do you guys think?
You can take a loan out from Mr. Ohio over here.
I don't want to pay you back.
I think 100 gold though.
I think that's
You
manageable.
really think about it. Yeah, if you have at least 100 members in your guild, like it's a gold a piece. If you have 50, 2 gold.
Yeah,
100
that's what I'm
mil.
thinking. Like even like 30 gold, like who's gonna miss 3 gold in the long run?
Right.
Like whatever, just everyone, we're all gonna go run a raw and just give me your gold at the end of it,
Right.
and we're done.
I remember when we first loaded into the game to create the guild that it cost like a silver or something for me to make the guild. And so the plan was everybody send me some copper until we can make the guild. And so like that's what we did. And so I guess we might even do something like that where it's like, okay, everybody in the guild send 3 gold over and then we've got it, bam, we'll all go do it.
Hmm.
I like
Also,
that.
just like we could do a lottery out of it, so people could donate towards it, and then all the extra goes into the lottery, and somebody wins big.
Exactly. That's what we're making the lottery for, is it not? You know,
Much.
for things like this.
Pretty
Yep.
much. And
I-
they did
Sorry,
show
go
some
ahead.
really cool stuff on the live stream today that if you guys haven't seen it yet, I'm going to start with one of the cool parts I thought. The arena. So as you upgrade it, you can set it to basically have no borders. And you can knock people out of the arena, and then it looks like they fall to their death. So you can do like sort of a King of the Hill sort of deal. You can use some of the arena decorations, like there was a turret they put down, and if you get near that turret, it knocks you back. There's like grates on the
Thinking.
floor that flames
So, like-
come out of. So it's gonna be
Pinball, let's
really
go.
fun to make like a tournament, like 1v1,
Skyhammer
2v1,
type.
Yeah, but you can
I
also
see
pull it
myself-
back up.
I see myself doing a lot of the arena stuff. It seems like it'll be a lot of fun, putting together a
Mhm.
lot of cool. I'm also wondering, since there's a lot of setup like that, if there'd be a way to sort of save an arena layout of stuff.
They
or do we have
already
to go
said no. Every time you'll have to set it back up. No templates for it.
That'd be nice, but I guess I get it. But
They might change that in the future.
I could see
That
for the
sounds like
entire
something
guild hall,
well,
but the
like-
arena, I would like, if you could like post your template or something, even like if people could make some really cool maps, like that
View
seems.
space disconnected from synergy.
If
Yeah, pretty
if
cool.
enough of us complain, maybe so. But they also showed that you can use the decorations to like create your own jumping puzzles inside of the
Yeah, but
guild
I'm gonna
hall.
be-
And
I'm gonna be less inclined. I mean, inside the guild hall, yes, I'm gonna make some cool stuff. But in the arena, I'm gonna be less inclined to do like a really cool specific thing, like because if somebody wants to use it as just an arena, I now have to go in there and remove it all, and I can't save it to put it back later. I guess we'll have to see how easy it is. I guess it could be like negligible if it only takes me 5 minutes to set it back up. But
it's pretty easy to put stuff down and
Yeah,
to
but
clear
if
it
a-
all up pretty quick. And
if you're allowed to like stack on top of other things, that opens the doors to some serious complexity. And in the arena specifically, I'm going to be not as likely to do anything crazy complex, because if I ever have to take it down, it sucks. I can't get it back. Where in the whole guild hall, if I do something, I doubt anyone's going to take it down because the thing's massive. But with the arena,
Yeah.
it serves a specific purpose.
But
So-
if you know it's going to be, like if you know you need to set it up for something like a tournament in specific, you can set it up, and then it can be set to where no one can take it down or use that arena until you're done
No,
with
I
the
know.
tournament.
Oh, I do understand that, but it would just be nice to have because you're gonna have multiple tournaments and multiple, different maps you're gonna want in your arena. If we could save them, otherwise you're gonna feel like locked into specific, be all end all layout instead of specific ones for specific events.
Yeah,
Well,
I see what Haya's saying here. Like being
maybe
able to
they'll add it.
actually give options for different maps and stuff in a tournament would actually be really cool. So like being able to like just switch layouts and like being able to vote on that would have been a really neat idea.
Speaking of voting, they did say today that you're not going to get to go in and preview the guild hall, but you're going to get to like watch like a video of something flying through it so you can see it before you choose.
Mhm.
And so I know, like
That's
with our
cool.
guild, I put up last night. I put up a poll, since they've kind of shown off a little bit of each one, so that it's not just me choosing or just me and the officers. That way, we can get as much input as we can. I don't know how other guilds are going to do it, but I know that that's the way that I'm leaning.
I'm also interested to see with what's the jungle one called?
It's called the Gilded Hollow, and then the desert one looking one is the Lost Precipice.
So on the stream they even mentioned when I was watching the Lost Precipice, I was like, this is massive. And they even mentioned that the other one is easier to get around. And I know me, I'm all about efficiency. So I'm wondering how much that's going to play into it. Like, I sort of dislike Lion's Arch right now just because I have to run, an extra 10 feet to get to the trading post. How am I going to feel about having to glide across an entire map to get to X, Y, or Z? So it'll be interesting.
I mean, I see so many people that have purchased that Captain's Pass, and all that is
I
just
bought it.
Yeah, I mean that's just purchased for efficiency. It offers you very little in game, so yeah, I could totally see the smaller guild hall being more popular.
The Lost Precipice does feel like, from what I've seen, huge, and you glide around with the jump pads and everything to help you. But what I've seen from the Gilded Hollow is, like you said, it doesn't seem big. It seems like easy. Like, I don't really want that kind of convenience, but there are a lot of things about the Gilded Hollow that I like. Like, most of the buildings have cool looking waterfalls and things like that. And so I'm thinking, do I really want the jungle and the waterfalls, which I'm going to be seeing a lot of jungle already, or do I want a huge desert where I can actually glide around when I'm bored rather than sitting still? Because I know that I'm probably always going to be in the guild hall and never going to be in Lion's Arch.
That's true, because when I'm bored, I do the same thing I used to do in WoW. I run around those freaking fountains and jump around for 30 minutes, So having a giant map like that to glide around would be pretty cool.
Tired of the jungle.
I know Brawson.
That too, yeah.
I know that Brawson is going to be overwhelmed with jungle, but I also know that Brawson hates desert. So, what do you think?
I hate desert with a passion. I like the one that had all the waterfalls in it. I'd rather it be more attractive looking and have whichever one's more attractive looking. Because if I have to spend all my time in it, I want it to look good. So I don't care if I have to walk a few extra feet if I have to, just to be somewhere nicer. Well, depends. So we'll see.
One thing I just thought of, they haven't really confirmed this or anything, but I would imagine if we're able to place, a varying amount of things on the map, I would imagine we'd have stalls and stuff we could place. So I almost wonder if it's negligible because we could build our own little, hub. I wonder if we can place like a trading post or something like that.
That is a good
Probably.
point.
Colin did say today, which contradicted a little bit of information that was given at TwitchCon. It's going to take like between 3 to 9 months or something like that to fully deck out your guild hall. That feels like a long time to me.
But that's like all the buildings. I'm thinking these specific, like, I bet I can place like some pallets on the ground that a Black Lion trader would stand at, stuff like that. So I imagine it won't necessarily matter which one you take as far as efficiency goes, because I would imagine we can lay it out however we want to be efficient, like have a nice little corner with all the bank and everything there, and then the rest of it can be cool jumping puzzles and stuff.
Yeah, that is a good point. I was thinking it was going to be kind of close to it was like in Guild Wars 1, where like every single guild hall had like specific points where all the vendors would be laid out. But if we're able to just change the location of the vendors, we can just closely group them all up, and it saves the whole efficiency aspect of it entirely.
I don't think we're going to be able to move them, but I think that they'll already have a centralized location called the Tavern, which is one of the first things you build. And then they said that the next thing you go to is the Mine. To segue into that, I know that we talked about the guild panel in one of our previous episodes, and I had guessed that we're going to have a treasury. Well, they did confirm that. And so people are going to be able to donate their items into the massive storage guild treasury, which only the guild system can take from, so no one can steal, which is amazing. And then that stuff will be taken out from the guild treasury to upgrade the guild hall. And we've also got I'm just going to throw a couple things and we'll discuss them all at once. We're getting multiple guild chats, but you still have to rep one guild. Influence is getting converted to something called favor, and you gain favor, and there's another thing called resonance from guild missions. You can as of right now, 10,000 influence. It can be exchanged for favor. You can also turn it in for resonance. You can also turn it in at the mine, which will give you stone weight, which is a % speed boost in getting stones. Don't actually know what stones are, but I'm assuming it's going to be for vendor or decorations or upgrading guild hall buildings.
I imagine it's going to be like a requirement in order to build the buildings and stuff.
We did get confirmation with guild missions. That's where we're getting some of that stuff. We're getting the instance guild missions for the ones that are things like puzzle and challenge. We're also getting new PvP and World v World guild missions, and there's going to be sortable from easy, medium, hard. So even the small like 5 people, 10 people guilds can have a chance to do what they're supposed to do. And everything that we buy before we actually go into the expedition for 100 gold, it basically, you can have 5 people inside of the guild initiative headquarters, and then it starts a second instance for the next 5 people. But once you get your actual guild hall, it holds up to 200. And so everything before we get the guild hall costs gold and favor, but that gold comes from the person who's buying it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And again, gathering money for the guild onto one person, it's always risky. They did say that merits will be totally useless after the expansion hits, so to go ahead and spend them, buy banners, and the banners will carry over to the expansion. Thoughts on all that?
So the max player limit is 200 in your guild hall?
Yes. But your guild can hold 500, so...
So it's time to start kicking people out of the guild.
we don't even have 200 yet.
It's better to start early.
We'll get to that bridge, but we need to...
So, well, another thing that kind of bothers me with it is, like, why did they have to spend resource time changing influence to favor? Could they not just have left it damn influence and just left resonance as merits instead of wasting that time?
I think they added a whole nother team of people, so they had created jobs for some developers.
I don't know, they could have used that team for something different than that.
And I think that they're functionally different. Like, they're not earned in the same fashions. You can, from what I gather, you can earn favor like in more ways than you can the influence, and the resonance is the same way.
I think it was done that way to make it where you don't have to always rep the same guild. But in a way, it also pushes you to rep the same guild. Because influence, obviously, you only gave it to that guild that you were repping. Will favor and resonance and stone work that way?
It's true. I'm glad about the instance guild missions. That means like you can't just roll in there with another guild and they can just powerhouse it while you follow behind them. In most cases, with the puzzles and stuff, where you really didn't have to do much, I don't believe, through other people doing it. I'm not too happy about PvP and World v World guild missions, though, because I really don't want to have anything to do with that.
Well, you don't have to do them, but they are there for an option, which is nice.
Oh yeah,
it's good for PvP guilds, or there's for the guilds that just do PvP, guilds that just do World v World.
Yeah,
it's an option for them, and I like that they're thinking ahead like that.
Yeah, as long as it's not where you have to do all 3, and you can just limit yourself to one of the 3 game modes to get your weekly influence or whatever it is, then I don't see a problem with it, I suppose.
Well, as we're getting ready to wrap up on the guild section here, any final thoughts on that?
It all looks neat.
I know.
I'm
pretty
excited
pumped
for it.
Yes.
Yeah, Brawson, yes. Well, now we're going to go to a new weekly segment, and it's called What Really Grinds Brawson's Gears.
Alright, so you guys know what really grinds my gears with Guild Wars 2? Pet AI. So, there's about... Yeah, I'll get with Ohio and say it here. So there's about 4 classes that use Pet AI, am I right? That's Ranger, Necro, Engineer, and Mesmer. Am I missing one? Well, Guardians, because of their spirit weapons. So you got 5 classes, and all 5 of their pets should be relatively balanced the proper way, but they aren't. Because one, you gotta think with Mesmer, with the specific Mesmer Phantasms, they can do incredibly high damage, but their trade-off is they have incredibly low health. So, I mean, good payoff, because you can get them out, and if you got good luck, you can do a high amount of damage, and they'll never disappear until the target's dead. So you get down to Ranger. Ranger's pets vary from high damage to low damage, and they all do different kinds of unique things, but they have high health, and their survivability can almost be insane. You got Necros. I don't have a lot of experience because I don't use that garbage because I like Minion Master in Guild Wars 1, but not Guild Wars 2. I'm going to say they probably vary in health and damage levels. And with Guardian, they've got their neat little utilities, but if you spend any time in the Guardian forums like me, they all complain about spirit weapons being garbage. And then you get to Engineer, the shit bucket of everything. So you sit there. Let's see what their trade-off is. They already have low health, so the trade-off should be high damage. Well, you don't really get that, and you have to use a utility for that, where other classes have to use their weapon skills to get theirs, where Ranger always has theirs passively, Mesmer uses a weapon skill, and Engineer has to use utilities for their pets. So all of theirs do about medium to low damage to no damage, but they provide some kind of utility. But with their low health, they're pretty much garbage, because with Mesmers, when theirs get low and you think you're going to lose them, you can self-destruct them. Same thing with Necros, you can self-destruct them to do something. But with Engineer turrets, you can self-destruct them, but they're too damn far away at that point. What are you going to hit? So, to me, I feel like Engineer AI, or any pet AI, is kind of bullshit. And that's about all I have to complain about.
Well, thanks for that. That was the very first ever section of what grinds Brawson's gears. That'll return next week, and so I'm going to go ahead and close out the show here. We will see you guys next week for episode 4, where we will have already done a raid after Beta Weekend event starts tomorrow. Hope everybody's excited. See you guys next time.
See you later.
Thank you for watching.